Hello, Jessica.
Hello, Brother Saunders.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Brother Brower will be here in any moment, I'm sure. We just left the last meeting together, so.
Great. Yeah, I'm happy to start whenever you guys are ready. So. You guys have a lot of these to do tonight?
Yeah, they've got us packed till 6:40, so.
Yeah.
Back to back. We'll see. It's been great though. It's really fun to see what you guys are doing. And I mean, we've seen a sewing project and a photography or a flower arranging project. And what was the other one there? My mind's blanking already. And and then a kind of writer publisher movement. Yeah. Anyway.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys are getting a good degree of variation with all
yeah, that's the thing about IDS is that it's all over the place, right?
Yeah, you're definitely getting to see a lot. So my project will definitely be a little different from what you've already seen.
Great. Well, that'll keep it very exciting. So I think we're all here now.
Awesome. Well, if you guys are ready, I can go ahead and start. Unless you need a second.
No, you're all set. Go ahead.
Great. I'm Jessica Linford, and for my capstone project, I decided to create a supervisor training for my work, the BYU Idaho Support Center. And why did I decide to create a supervisor training? Well, here at the BSC, we have 140 positions. And of those positions, 35 of them are student leadership positions, student supervisor positions across 4 inner departments. And we were seeing with our leadership that there was a lot of inconsistency. There's not a consistent training program for them. And with so many supervisors, we decided that we wanted some sort of training to put everybody through to capture that consistency, number one, and make sure that everyone was receiving the same training experience right out the gate, and that we were establishing the same foundation for all of our leadership across our groups. And also to ensure that we were reaching our department goals. We had seen that we had kind of become stagnant in our statistics, and we felt like that was really because we couldn't push our leaders to do much more. And so we wanted to teach them and give them the skills that they needed to help us start moving those goals forward. We also had to try to create a broad training experience because with 35 supervisors, all of them are in very different supervisor positions. And so we had to figure out how to make it broad enough that it would be applicable to everyone, but still teach them the job specific skills that they needed. And then we wanted to be able to relay management's expectations of our supervisors and be able to teach them what was expected of them by their bosses and for our vision and our culture that we're trying to establish in our group. So with that, there was quite a bit of work that had to go into creating a plan for how to do this successfully. There was a lot of prep work that I had to do. First, I had to develop a plan for how I was going to teach a broad training and still teach the job specific skills. So I was able to determine that we were going to do a 5-day in-person training, 1 hour a day, that would teach just general leadership principles that would apply across all of our groups. And the second half of that would be an online training portion that would teach their job specific skills. So 1 hour a day for 5 days of job specific skills. Then I had to establish the expectations by meeting with our director, the other managers and coordinators in the group to make sure that the training was following their expectations with what they wanted from the outcome of it and for their supervisors. Then I had to come up with outcomes. I wanted to make sure my training would have goals and that we could base the creation of that training off of those goals. So I created those outcomes and reviewed them with everyone in my department. And after that, I started researching and I started gathering all of this information and material to put in my training. And with that, I had a lot of mentor collaboration throughout the whole thing, especially in my prep work. He was able to help point me towards helpful resources, as well as direct me in the direction he wanted it to go, as he's the director of our group. And then I went on to project creation and actually getting the materials together. I wanted to make sure in creating this project, it was something that as I leave, other trainers can come in and easily pick it up and keep training with the same materials. So I created a training manual for anyone who is giving the training to outline the topics and give them resources for what they would be teaching about, and give them ideas for activities, case studies, and discussions that they could do in class. I created a training slideshow so for them to use in class. I also created a student notebook, which has handouts, notes, and other helpful things from the training slideshow, so as they go through the training, they can kind of follow along with their own notebooks that's already been created for them. And then I moved on to the online homework, and this was the job specific stuff, having to create an hour a day for different positions of homework to teach them what they needed to know going into their new position. And with that, I had a lot of help from my mentor again, who reviewed a lot of my different artifacts, and he went through and helped me to kind of clean them up and make them easy to read. And then project testing. I wanted to make sure with my plan that I created time to test the project and ensure that it was successful. So I planned to do a pilot training with a group of new supervisors that would be able to help provide me with training recordings to turn in of the training, as well as to kind of evaluate the training and get feedback from people of how they felt like it was going and whether or not it was meeting the outcomes from their perspective, but also from my perspective as the teacher and creator. So with that, I spent about 35% of my time researching and communicating with people in my department and gathering information for the training. And then I spent about 50% of my time on the actual training materials and the creation of them. And then I spent 5% of my time doing the training pilot and teaching it, and 10% of my time creating the training evaluations to evaluate the successfulness of the training after it was completed. Total, I've put in about 82 hours into my project so far. With all of my project management, there were some unexpected challenges that came up that I had to figure out how to work around. I was really sick at the beginning of the semester with morning sickness, and I couldn't get out of bed, and that definitely delayed the start of my project. As well as communication was another challenge I didn't anticipate, having to depend on other people to provide me with information and be on their timeline to get the resources and material that I needed to complete the training. And third, trying to balance my regular job responsibilities with the creation of this new project and this new job responsibility was definitely a juggling act I wasn't anticipating. So this is my training pilot group. I had 6 supervisors from across our support center that are brand new and going to be supervisors next semester. We did this last week, and I was able to pilot it with them, and they were really good sports. I learned a lot from this portion of the training and learned where I needed to talk less and where I could do more practice with my group, and where I could add more research to what I've already done. So I've already been able to go in and adjust the outline from this experience, as well as get feedback from them on what their experience was like and what they would change. I was also able to have my mentor, as well as a couple other managers from our group, come and sit in on a few days of training, and they were able to provide me with really helpful feedback on how I could change the training as well. So I feel like that was able to provide me with an opportunity to make it much more polished than it previously was. And I wanted to be able to test the results, and this is an ongoing test. So we will have 3 ways that we are testing the results. The first is a post-training student survey, and this is something I've already sent to my students and should receive all the results in 1 to 2 weeks of their feedback, asking them how they felt the class went, as well as asking them how confident they are in the original outcomes I created for the project. Second is an employee satisfaction survey. So I've already sent out a survey to all of our current supervisors' employees to have them rate their supervisors and their satisfaction with them to give me a baseline. And in a few months from now, I will send out another survey and compare the new supervisors' scores with the previous baseline to see if there's any change in employee satisfaction. Thirdly, I will do a manager satisfaction survey, asking the managers if they've seen a difference as well. What would I do differently? I would try to plan better. There's been a lot that I've learned in this for project planning and how to space my time out effectively, as well as how to draw upon your resources and start getting information from people sooner. And last but not least, how does this relate to my IDS degree? So I learned so much from this that really applies to many different aspects of my interdisciplinary studies degree. I was able to research so much about leadership principles and what good leadership looks like, which really applies to my business management concentration, as well as gain training experience from actually creating and giving this training, which is very applicable to my human resource certificate. And I was able to learn a lot about project management, which is just important for every aspect of my degree and what I'm going into, and how to manage a project effectively and create one effectively, as well as just get so much good interaction with my mentor. His name's Jared Gadat. He works here, and he taught me so much in all of my interactions with him that definitely made me better and better for having done the project and interacted with him. So that's my project, and happy to answer any of your guys' questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jessica. And boy, you were mentored by one of the best. That's great. Lucky you.
Yeah.
That's great. I do want to better understand a little bit in the training and what I'm going at, Jennifer, Jessica, excuse me, just so that you understand where I'm headed with this. I'm trying to determine sort of the analysis part that you put into this and how you let that drive what you did, sort of the data-driven decisions. And so I'm wondering how did you determine the priorities of what was necessary? How did you determine what kinds of training was necessary? What were the data points there?
Yeah, so as I was creating the topics for the training, I went to all of our different managers and coordinators and asked them what their expectations were and what were you wanting to see from your supervisors. And with that, they were able to list some things like, I want them to be able to provide vision, and I want them to be able to have crucial conversations.
Oh, okay.
And so based off of that, I created some outcomes for the training. Like, after completing the training, our supervisors will feel confident in having crucial conversations, something like that.
Ah, great. So this was a training more on employee relations, not necessarily about customer service.
Yes. Yeah, not about customer service. This
Okay.
is all about supervising and the skills that come with that.
Thank you so much.
And I might have missed it here, Jessica, but did you create booklets, PowerPoints, movies, live? What stuff did you create?
Yes, so I created a training manual to give to anyone who is teaching the training in the future.
Is that like a printed out booklet?
Yes, it's a printed out booklet that anyone can take, and it gives you all the resources for the material in the training, as well as an outline for how you should teach each day with suggestions for case studies, activities, discussions, things like that. So anyone after me can teach this training. And then I created a slideshow to go along with my outline. So it pretty closely follows the outline that's been created. And I created as well a student booklet, which has materials from the slideshow, like steps to having a crucial conversation or steps to follow when hiring, things like that, so that while they were in class, they could still take notes on those things without having to hurry and scribble everything down, but we could actually be focused. And then after that, the actual evaluations themselves for the course and the online homework.
One of your booklets there with you? I'd be really curious to see how they came out.
I don't have it with me, but I could pull it up really quickly if you give me just a second.
Yeah, I'd be curious at least. Sorry to steal from the other questions.
Oh, it's a wonder. Thank you for asking that. That's a wonderful. Love to see that.
Yes, give me just a minute.
You ever notice how silence on Zoom is just deadly? We kind of think about silence as a good thing, like the spirit moves you. But I think silence on Zoom is like the devil's plan. I don't think it's the spirit at all.
That's awesome.
Agree. All right, let me see if I can share my screen for you guys. So there was 2 parts to this. Let me hide these meeting controls. I created 2 portions just because the other one got too long, but this kind of shows you. So a lot of these are based off of the slideshows. And what we were talking about in this particular slide was priorities, work, what these should look like. So it gives them some areas to fill in their thoughts as we have this discussion on what they should be thinking in each area, as well as thoughts on the mission statement. We have the supervisor key values here for our department, as well as our organizational chart. And then it kind of goes on from there. I don't know if this helps to give you kind of an idea for what it's like, but it's supposed to be a resource to help them take notes, encourage that, but also for them to use later on in their future supervisor positions.
Very nice. How have you liked this Canva development tool here?
It's taken some getting used to, but I really like it now that I'm more proficient in it. Our department uses this for all their trainings, so it's been good for me to learn it.
Interesting. Thank you. I guess we have one more minute here. So what's your plan moving forward, Jessica? How is this going to help you in that plan?
Yes. Moving forward, I'd really like to continue to be in some sort of human resource or management position. And I feel like this has given me the opportunity to not only learn how to be a better leader through all of my research about leadership principles and what creates a good supervisor, but also given me so many useful skills for future positions in training, in studying about hiring and human resource aspects of things. So it's really given me a lot of good experience that, and honestly, research information that I will use in the future.
Very good. Thank you.
So how much longer are you working at the BSC for? Is this like your last semester, and what will the follow-up be on kind of those kind of talked about ongoing results coming in? Will you end up finding out about that, and kind of where do you go from this semester?
Yeah, so I actually get to be a part of this for a while, and that makes me happy because I'm excited to continue polishing it, continue seeing the outcomes of the evaluation. But I'm an actual employee here on campus. I'm staff, and so I plan to be here for several years with the BSC, and so it's nice to be able to contribute something I'll be able to see the outcomes of.
Great.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank